It's showtime! Let's go! Let's go!
Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, my Patriot peeps? We're here back with the new Gillette Gazette with me, Sword the Science Guy, the full-time scientist, the fuller-time sports fan, aspiring doctor in chemical engineering, existing doctorate in patriotonomics. Here with my guy, Aiden Hauser, who's on for his third episode. How are you feeling, Aiden?
Stoked. It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited to do more. Just to talk about our beloved Pats.
Yeah, it's it's been great having you on, and it's the mood's a little different than we expected it to be for this podcast. We're going off a win. How's Patriots Nation feeling right now?
I can speak. I mean, for myself, I'm ecstatic. I didn't expect to win. I don't think a lot of people did. So I think starting off the season 1-0 with a team that was projected to be towards the bottom of the league feels pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were talking when we were having the conversation about Drake May and when he should start. We need something to give us optimism in this season, and I think we were all kind of expecting that. We were all kind of making the assumption that this game was going to be a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting a win by any means, and I feel like it was a high quality football game. One of the cleanest bits of football I've seen New England play. First to fourth quarter, like since 2021. Well, I would say the blip that was the Bills game last season. That was the last time I've seen us play football of this quality. So we do a segment on the Gazette called Good, Bad, Meh. So let's start by talking about. Give me one thing that was good, one thing that was bad, and one thing that we don't really know how to feel about yet.
Okay, good. I would say our defense, more specifically, Christian Gonzalez looked really good. He held Jamar Chase in check. I don't think Chase didn't really do much on the day, but I mean, when Gonzalez was covering him, he was pretty much locked down. So I think that was really good. Bad, I think, is still our passing game. Brissett only had 120 yards passing, no touchdowns, no picks. But I mean, that's still not good. That's not something you want out of a starting quarterback and a team that needs to put up points. And then meh, I think the O-line was meh. It could also be kind of a good, they were better than expected. They didn't give up any sacks, but I know Brissett was still pressured, had to run a bit. So I mean, that was meh, especially with Chooks getting benched so early on.
Yeah. I think this is the first time in a long time that I've thought the offensive line was meh. It's a big step up.
Mm-hmm.
This unit has been horrendous for so long, but Brissett had to move around a bit in the pocket, but I thought that he was generally well protected the whole game. And the running game was able to flourish. That's definitely my good for the game. Ramondre, this is really the first game since Ramondre has been a franchise back where I thought that he really kind of put the team on his back and
right.
took control of things. He had that big run at the end of the game that sealed it and was just consistent throughout. This is the best game. I would say, considering the circumstances, considering his role on the team, this was the best game I've seen him play as a Patriot.
Mm-hmm. So, or just as a pure rusher. I don't think he had any receptions.
Yeah. I think it was a very clear role for him. That's what he was there to do. And we had guys that we had other running backs that can be used as pass catching options. I think, I think when we're running a simple offense with a quarterback that's obviously a bridge guy, no need to complicate anything more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad that they chose to use Ramondre in the right way, and I'm glad that he ran with it. Another thing, the bad, I would say, I would agree with you. It's the passing game, and it's especially considering that normally when you have a game like this, you can associate it with some other things like bad protection but we had receivers getting separation. It was generally decent wideout play, not really much in the way of drops, but there was just no explosiveness, and I didn't feel that instinct from Jacoby Brissett to pull the trigger, nor did I feel that the offensive play calling was aggressive enough. And I think this is where having, I think AVP is going to get there as far as calling a more aggressive game plan. And I understand why he was a little bit on the conservative side today, but I think this kind of play calling isn't going to win many games. We were very lucky that the defense held on for as long as they did. But I feel like we just need better. And I mean, I think a big part of that is going to be eventually going to Drake May. I think you raised a good point offline that there perhaps isn't, given the schedule we have coming, it's probably not the best idea to roll him out too quickly. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think he should be playing against San Francisco. That's especially, I mean, they made Aaron Rodgers look pedestrian. So
right.
Yeah, that's tough. And then for my meh, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say the offensive line. I think it was aggressively mediocre, which is the best they've played since a long time. I thought the right side seemed pretty short up. The left side was a mess with Okorafor, Vidarian Lowe, and I mean, things did start looking up after Okorafor got benched. I thought the guard play was pretty good. I think nothing special for them, and I think hopefully the unit can get a little bit better once Cole Strange comes back. But of course, we never know what to ever expect from him. So it could get better, it could get worse. But it was decent. Layden Robinson was a nice surprise. I was not expecting him to be as key of an aspect of this offensive line as he is. But I think he can be, if he keeps playing like this, he can absolutely be a pivotal part of this line. So excited to see what we can get from him. And obviously the run blocking was fantastic. And the pass blocking was mediocre, which is as good as it's ever been in post Skarnecchia. So overall, pleasing signs from there. Who's your MVP of this game?
I don't know. I think I go back and forth between Ramondre and Gonzalez. Can I give them a tie?
Yeah, for sure.
A fair offensive, defensive. I mean, like you said, like this is probably one of his best, one of his best games to date. And he had like a good year just a few years ago with a lot of good games. But just from a pure rushing standpoint, he looked fast and powerful and like seemed to have good vision. So I mean, he was the reason we had the ball rolling, because there was nothing from our passing game. So I mean, the fact that we even had a touchdown and a couple of field goals, like I'd say a lot of that is him. And then again, I think Gonzalez is a big reason why the Bengals didn't really do much.
Yeah. I mean, those are great choices. I think Gonzalez is exciting me more and more every time I see him. As now that he's got hopefully a full season ahead of him. I knocked on some wood there. Now that he's hopefully got a whole season in front of him, I really think he can develop. And, we've got, he's got another year working with Mayo now as a head coach. Exciting stuff from him. The guy that excited me the most, and he's my MVP, is Keon White. I think the circumstances have a lot to do with this too. I mean, he was, 3 quarterback hits, 2.5 sacks, just absolute monster. He's showing that his style can translate to the NFL, and he's proving that we didn't do such a crazy thing by picking defense in the first 2 picks. Both of these guys are proving Belichick right that, okay, it was not a bad idea to go defense with the first 2 picks of that draft.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very impressed by how he took to the occasion. I mean, this was his first time kind of being seen as that starting guy from the get-go. Replacing Matthew Judon is not an easy feat. And he's kind of taken the defensive line by the horns. Jawan Bentley was a close second. I feel like he goes so unnoticed because he just ends up always being an aggressively solid player. But the guy he's all over the place. He has an unbelievable kind of anticipation of where players are, where the ball is. That's why he's able to be both a run, a pass rushing, a pass coverage, a run defending, kind of an all-purpose linebacker. Guy had 12 total tackles on Sunday and a half sack. So not shabby at all. I think that contract extension is also being proven to be an excellent idea. And so, there's so many promising signs on this defense. So I'm going to give that co-MVP to Jawan Bentley and Keon White. So now that we've kind of established that, this game, this Seahawks game all of a sudden has some intrigue. It has some sense of, this season has some sense of meaning. There are now implications to these games for now, at least. Now, you can make an argument that there could be playoff implications for this game, which is nice to see. It's early in the season. I'm overreacting, but that's what we do after week 1. And so we come into Seattle. I want to get into most favorable and unfavorable matchups. But first, what's your overall big picture view on this game?
Just like how I think it's going to go?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be a lot of similarities to the last game. Just with it, obviously, again, going to have to be a good defensive stand by us. They do have good receivers and a better running game with less than ideal quarterback play. So I think that kind of evens it out with with Cincinnati having Burrow and not really much in the running game, whereas Seattle's got Geno, who's just serviceable at best, but then Ken Walker, who's a great running back. So I think it's gonna be a defensive game, but this time we're gonna have to be a little more focused on the run more so, and maybe have to force Geno to try and win it through the air.
Yeah. I completely agree with that take. I think it's going to be a big step up from what we faced running back wise from week 1. I mean, Zach Moss is an aggressively mediocre running back, and Kenneth Walker he's not only a great running back, he's in great recent form. He's very much on the rise, and just coming off a great performance against Denver, kind of able to win that game despite Geno not having the best performance. I think on that's going to be their most potent area offensively. Obviously, they've got the 3 they've got 3 really solid weapons in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and JSN, who JSN's still a developing commodity. We don't know who he can become in year 2, but I'd venture to say he's going to improve from year 1. I think he had a solid first year, and I think he has the potential to get better. What I don't know, though, is whether Geno Smith has what it takes to bring his full potential out. I mean, I it also looks like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf haven't been the same unbelievably threatening players that they were when Russell Wilson was quarterbacking them. And so I don't know if Geno Smith has it in him to bring that same quality out of any of these three weapons. And so it's gonna be tough matchups for our secondary. That's probably the matchup that worries me the most on defense. Our secondary is a little bit inexperienced, but the way Gonzalez played, the way Jonathan Jones consistently plays, and Marcus Jones had a great game. I think there's a lot of potential for us to win those matchups.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk more later, but we're gonna give a bit of an ad read to Fifth Down Territory, another podcast that's from the Stadium Rant Network that's absolutely worth watching if you guys want to get a more big picture view of the NFL. And we go right after them. And so you wanna spend your night with Stadium Rant, start at 7. Watch Fifth Down Territory, get your whole view on the NFL, then come to us and get your view on the Patriots.
Fifth Down Territory is Stadium Rant's live, relentless NFL coverage every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lamb, Bahuki, Shane, and Louie debating the toss and hitting you with that impact block on a weekly basis. Unfiltered scorchers will be spoken. Parental supervision is advised. Like and subscribe to Stadium Rant on YouTube so that you never miss a show.
Austin's always the cheery guy reading our ad reads. He enjoys his humor quite a bit, which I love the football puns as well. Definitely check out Fifth Down Territory for big picture NFL insights. But back to the Patriots, because unlike most post game weeks, I actually want to talk about them. What do you see as the number one? We kind of talked about some matchups that could be tough on the offensive end. What do you think on where do you think Seattle's defense can hurt us the most?
I know they have two really young, talented cornerbacks in Tariq Woolen and Devon Witherspoon. So I think that they're definitely outmatch us in that regard. I don't think Thornton or any of the other receivers are anywhere close to their level. So I think we're definitely going to be outmatched in the passing attack, which is a huge concern because we'd be outmatched no matter who we matched up against, let alone like two young rising stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I do think our receivers showed some promise. I think I still, I don't think Brissett's bringing out the most from them. And I also don't think Alex Van Pelt's game plan was quite as aggressive as maybe I'd want it to be. And I think in this game, we can hopefully try to up the ante there. But, promising signs from Tyquan Thornton. I saw him take kind of an active role in the offense for the first time, I'd say, since he was drafted, to be perfectly honest. Like, this was some of the most consistent play, not just the two balls he caught, but in general, like crisp route running, a good ownership of his game, looked really fast out there as he always does. Mm-hmm. We talked about this offline. Polk was getting a lot of separation off the line. We got to take more advantage of that. It felt criminal that I kept seeing him get separation over and over again, and I did not see him get used at all. He had one target for one catch, 6 yards. Mm-hmm. The way he was, the kind of routes he was running, that's unacceptable to not make use of that kind of separation. And so, we got to see more use of those rookies. Mm-hmm. Javon Baker was basically a non-factor in this game. And I just think there's more we could have done in terms of using all the, one of the advantages the Patriots have is, they don't have that alpha guy, but they do have a lot of kind of diversity in their weapons. They have a lot of different looks they can give you, and I don't feel like they really showed that. I love the way they use their tight ends, though. Henry and Hooper both had decent games. I mean, nobody had more than 3 catches, so 2 catches seems like a good game. But Hooper played better than I expected. He fit in very quickly. Another disappointing thing, and we got to fix this for next week. I like that we gave that traditional running back role to Ramondre Stevenson, but if we're going to do that, we've got to use Antonio Gibson's pass catching ability.
Right.
He had 7 rushes for 18 yards, and being a traditional running back is not where he thrives. Being a third down back and being a pass catching back is what it's best to use him for. And if Brissett is still not comfortable in this offense, and if he's not playing at an extremely high level, that's a go-to, almost a gimme, like 5-6 yards on a first down, or an option on a 3rd and 2 that you can use. We don't want to become overly predictable by having our running backs run every single time. And when you have a guy like Gibson, you got to use that.
Right.
And so, Javon Baker having no receptions, Polk having 1, Gibson having none. Demario Douglas, I thought, was also underused.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got to do more.
And
with that, I
think Javon Baker was a healthy scratch. I don't think he played.
It was a healthy scratch, right? Okay. That's okay. I thought I didn't notice him at all out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he was out there at all. I remember seeing something saying, yeah, he was a healthy scratch, whatever that is. I don't know if it's punishment for his little traffic violation or what, but I don't think he was on the field.
I think I don't think we're at the level anymore where we can be punishing players for things like that. Yeah. And it's people will talk about Belichick. And we have a new coach and we're doing the same stuff. Because obviously Mayo is a protege of Belichick, both as a player and a coach. And I do understand. You want to enforce a high standard as a team. You want to show that the Patriot way has a certain expectation of diligence and a certain expectation of kind of buying all the way into the team, the do your job motto. Mm-hmm. But when you've got talent, you just got to use it. It's that simple. Sometimes you got to put all that aside and say, all right, you know what? You're going to run like 30 extra suicides after practice, but we're putting you in.
For sure.
I definitely want to see Javon Baker play week 2. I want to see more use of really all these guys. I feel like there was just a lot of conservative play calling, and it won us the game. But I think to beat Seattle, it's going to take a little bit more, especially against that secondary. They're not going to give us the easy looks, some of the easier looks that Cincinnati gave us. And so, yeah, agreed there. I mean, they've got obviously the edge matchups always worry me. Leonard Williams worries me a bit. Don't really know much about Jaron Reed, but I think it's a more favorable matchup than what we had last week in Cincinnati. Hopefully the Chukwuka Okorafor era in New England is over after the 12 snaps. I mean, I've seen in training camp and preseason and in the beginning of game 1, I've seen all I need to see from him. I don't see a path forward for him.
Mm-mm.
But Vidarian Lowe is proving to be a solid enough replacement for now. I still think left tackle is a position that we need to address sooner than later, whether it's in next year's draft or next year's free agency or even by the trade deadline if we're actually contending. But for now, he'll do for now is the way I'll put it. And where do you think we really have the opportunity to hurt them?
Again, I mean, on the offensive side, really Ramondre. I don't really know how good Seattle's run defense is, honestly, but I just don't think we have any other player as dangerous as him. So I think he has to be good for us to be productive in any way. So So I think, as long as he can kind of get rolling, I know that'll open up a lot for us just in play action. And I mean, I think a lot of it relies on the run game with Ramondre again.
Yeah, absolutely. On the offensive side, I think Ramondre is our best chance. And I mean, the run defense is strong for Seattle. They played really, they didn't really let Denver do much.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't think Denver has a really talented running back room. So it's hard to say what exactly contributed to Seattle's run defense performance, but I think Ramondre is absolutely a step up from what they faced last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, if we can throw different looks at them, I mean, I like the traditional running back role for week 1, but I think both with Ramondre, but especially with Gibson, we got to throw in those pass catching looks just to keep things honest and not make it overly clear what we're going to do.
Right.
You know, I think we did a good job mixing inside and outside runs against the Bengals. We got to keep doing that. But I think another place where we can exploit them is I feel like our pass rush is playing at a really high level. We've got, Keon White's playing great football. We've got a great legion of linebackers who can rush the passer. Jawan Bentley only being one of them, but really all of our linebackers have the ability to rush the passer. I think we can make life very difficult for Geno Smith, and
right.
I would imagine that that's a big part of our game plan.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
And so looking at what happened in game 1, what are a couple things, maybe let's go one on each side of the ball, that you want kept from last week, and one thing on both sides of the ball that drastically needs to change?
Well, on defense, I still think just the grittiness and just not giving up. I know there were a lot of close almost touchdowns that were either a pass that just got dropped at the last second or a fumble at the goal line. We need that, just not giving up mentality, is still playing just right to the whistle. And then what we should keep in the offense again is just heavily relying on Ramondre. I think, like you said, change it up a little bit, but I mean, he should still be our go-to guy. And even just using him more in the receiving game. Yeah. Not even just Gibson, but him too. Cause I mean, he's a more than capable, receiver out of the backfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on I'm going to say on the defensive side of the ball, the tackling, I thought it was for a week 1 game, exceptionally clean.
Mm-hmm.
They the Patriots have had the one part of their defense that sometimes I critique in the past has been that they'll sometimes let a tackle or two slip through, especially early in the season. And I felt they did a really good job finishing plays, and I like that they kept going after the ball. It worked well once when they forced that fumble that possibly was the game-winning play. Mm-hmm. If you look at the scoreline now. And I also felt that they also forced the ball out again. It's just, it happened. Then he happened to be on the ground. It didn't quite work out, but I like the aggression.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way they finished plays. It just felt extremely clean, because the defense has always been extremely talented, but there were times last year where I thought there were moments of sloppiness, and I felt that it was just extremely clean performance. I am very, very happy that I took the Patriots defense in both of my fantasy leagues. As far as the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to go no turnovers. I was very glad that we played a clean game. Ramondre does have a tendency, and I mean, he did have a fumble and recover it himself, but overall, I mean, Ramondre has been a fumble-prone player in the past. That's been really his only weakness I see in him. But he played a clean game. Brissett didn't do anything to impress me, but he also played a clean game. He didn't really throw balls that seemed like they were putting things in danger. Of course, as we go for a more and more aggressive game plan, which I think we need to do, that comes with the risk of putting Brissett in a position where he could start throwing the ball in dangerous places. And so that we're going to have to see what comes of that. As far as what we should change, and so I'll ping back to you after I'm done with mine. I think on offense, absolutely just the way we use our weapons. I think we went with a lot of our safer choices, the tight ends, KJ Osborne, who's kind of our safe option at wide receiver, the veteran that kind of, he's been there, done that. We use him for simple plays. Obviously, I think this unit's going to go a notch up when Kendrick Bourne comes back, no matter what. But we've got with Polk, Baker once he's back, and Thornton and Douglas, really 4 speedy guys. Speed and athleticism is not an issue anymore in our receivers. We just got to use them more. And then on defense, I'm going to say nothing. Keep playing like you played last week. Maybe I'd like to see some more guys get involved in the pass rush. I thought Keon White did the lion's share of the work. It would be nice to see. Like Anthony Jennings do a little bit more, because I know he has the ability to rush the passer. I'd like to see the interior defensive line get some more, penetration into the backfield. Ekuale, Gotcha, Farms, those guys were decent, but I didn't see them do anything crazy. I'd like to see more from them. They're all very talented players. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it was hard for me to come up with anything here. Defense should just play like they played last week, and I'll be very happy. Now, we unexpected that we can actually now start talking about fantasy contributions from Patriots. But who are you watching in this game on both sides for fantasy players for us to watch?
I think, again, it's obviously Ramondre. If you have him, he's a start. At least a flex, but I'm sure a lot of people are even starting him as like their running back too at this point. I think there's a lot of guys on the Patriots offense that are more just like kind of just watching and waiting, just kind of seeing what they're doing. And those guys for me, I think would again be just Polk, just with the separation he's able to get. And I guess just the capital, knowing that like we want to get him involved, is just kind of at what point is he going to start getting thrown in there a little more, getting more looks. And then I think also Demario Douglas is another, just kind of like wait around and just kind of see what he does, just because he was our most productive receiver last year. So he's shown that he can get things done when he needs to. But he just hasn't had very many chances on Sunday either.
Yeah, absolutely agreed about Ramondre. I think it's a no-brainer. He's going to continue being the workhorse, and it does seem like the run blocking is getting better and better. Mm-hmm. So absolutely start him. I think as things get, as the offense gets more comfortable, I think the separation that Polk was able to get, he's definitely a player. If he's on your waivers, I keep him on the periphery of your bench and see if he can establish a larger role in this offense. And then, of course, I think the Patriots defense is a must start. Mm-hmm. Their defense and their special teams looked extremely clean, extremely strong. I could never figure out for the life of me why ESPN Fantasy had them graded second last, and as I picked them in both leagues, I vehemently disagree. Uh-huh. But I think it's an extraordinary unit, and I think they're going to force some turnovers. I think they're going to potentially do some scoring at some point this season. Mm-hmm. And at the very least keep things tight.
Right.
And so you mentioned offline that the line here for this game is -3.5 Seattle.
I think so. I think that's what I remember seeing. I could be wrong, but I know it was closer than last week on Sunday.
Yeah, and given the result and given the opponent, that makes sense. You've kind of painting the scene for this game. We were talking about post Brady and post Belichick, New England, but you're also talking a post Russell Wilson, post Pete Carroll, Seattle. Both teams are moving on from a very important era in their franchise's history. Seattle's got a new head coach, both coming off week 1 wins. How do you think this game goes?
I think they showed me enough with their defense last week. I think we not only cover the spread, but I think we win it this week. I think it'll be another kind of gritty defensive match, but I think like a 20-17 outcome. I think I can see that happening. Not going to be a mind-blowing like offensive shootout. It's going to be more of a defensive game with
I have them
or something.
I have this game as 24-20. I think the Patriots offense is going to take a step forward this week. And I don't think the defense is going to take a step back, but I think they're going to I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a good day.
Sure.
The run defense is the one part, especially without Barmore in there. The interior defensive line is I would say, least secure part of that of the defense right now. Mm-hmm. And so I think they're going to score some points. But I think the Patriots are going to win this one. They have a lot of confidence going into week 2. Rwanda is going to play a major role. I think the fact that they were able to win a game with, I would say, an atrocious game from the passing game, like 121 yards in 4 quarters in the NFL is ridiculous. Like,
not good.
This is on the level, you worry about putting in rookie quarterbacks, but this is about at the level of what these rookie quarterbacks were putting up.
Right.
I think there's going to be improvement there.
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby Brissett, at the very least, he knows how to play in this league. He knows how to adjust from week to week. He has had experience. He'll learn from this game and get better. I still don't think he's the answer for any longer than after the 49ers game. But I think he'll improve. I think Alex Van Pelt's going to improve his game planning. There's so much newness in this team. Things are going to polish over time. So I'm looking forward to seeing how all that goes. And so that's what we have for you guys. It's going to be, this is a unexpectedly cheery podcast. We're hoping to have another cheery one for you next week, but cheery or not, we're going to be here next week for you reviewing the Patriots game against Seattle and previewing week 3 as we face an early Thursday game, national television, against the Jets, who looked vulnerable. We'll talk more about that next week, but the Jets they played the 49ers, I know, but they absolutely looked vulnerable despite the fact that Aaron Rodgers somehow made it through week 1.
It was a miracle that he made it through week 1.
Yeah, so we don't even know whether we'll be playing Aaron Rodgers or not. But for now, we'll assume that that's the case. Jets play the Titans, so we'll get an opportunity to see them in a game where they're favored. It's going to be interesting. And thank you for tuning in, Patriot peeps. We'll be here next week.
Thanks, guys.